All right, peace, everybody. Give y'all time to scroll up in here. Just want to have a quick discussion with y'all this morning about mental health. Something that a lot of people deal with and a lot of people suppress. So I just want to give people the platform and the ability to express themselves. You know, what causes your depression? What are you doing to help fight and combat that depression? These are discussions that we need to have more of in this community, in our communities. Like a lot of us are running from our problems instead of fighting them, man. We gotta fight the problems. We can't run from depression, man. Like depression is deep within our community. And a lot of people just don't discuss it. We don't talk about our mental health issues, our brain health issues. Sweep them under the rug. You know, we gotta be tough and all that. Peace, what's going on, bro? We gotta stop neglecting our mental health. Without the mental health, we are nothing. We are powerless without that mental health, without the brain health. The brain is not functioning properly. We are powerless. We are useless. So we got to stop sweeping that under the rug. Got to start dealing with it. Got to start addressing the issues. Got to keep fighting. Got to keep combating it. Got to do what's right. Treat the mind right. Treat the brain right. Avoid environments that are not conducive to the overall health and well-being of your mental health and brain health. Got to learn the triggers, like what causes you to get into that state of depression. What causes you to get upset and angry? What causes that anxiety to elevate? Like we got to learn our triggers. What's going on, Sasha? Appreciate it. What's going on, Louisiana? What's going on with you, bro? Yeah, diet is big. It's a lot of factors in it, but diet is definitely big. And on the flip side of that, diet is also big in regards to just reversing the conditions. Like I always talk about blueberries in regards to brain health. People do not understand the power of a blueberry when it comes to just reversing any type of like mental health issue and just improving upon your brain health. Like blueberries are perfect for that. If you want to prevent yourself from getting that Alzheimer's or dementia, blueberries will solve that issue, will help you prevent all of those mental issues. What's going on with you, Frank? But it's a lot of other issues that play a part in kind of like what triggers us to just be depressed, angry, and have that anxiety that we just kind of sweep under the rug. And I'm even speaking from like personal experiences and things of that nature. Like even watching the news can be a trigger because we know how depressing the news can be. So us just watching the news, like just embracing that negativity that comes with the news can trigger depression, can trigger anger, can trigger anxiety. So watching the news, man, watching something negative like on TV or just even on YouTube can just boom, ignite the fire for that depression and that anxiety. So we just got to be careful in regards to like what we consume, like all types of foods, man, from the media, from the actual foods that we consume. Like all of that plays a role in triggering depression, anxiety, anger, and all that. So we got to be mindful of like what we watch, what we eat, what we listen to, who we associate with, who we socialize with. Yeah, most definitely. Like I'm definitely a sponge, so I have to choose my environments and stuff that I consume wisely because I'm definitely a sponge, man. Like if I'm in an environment that's really not conducive to my overall health and well-being and my peace, like I'm more than likely to be affected by it. Like I'm more than likely to be agitated and annoyed by that environment. So I got to choose my environments wisely. What's going on with you, Bobby? Oh yeah, most definitely. I agree with that, Sasha. Yeah, so a lot of people think that to combat depression and all these mental health issues, it's a like willpower is something that you need. I disagree with that. Like you need to figure out your triggers and you need to minimize your exposure to those triggers. Like fighting depression and anger and anxiety and all that, man, willpower is not going to get you too far. Like that discipline is not going to get you that far. Like if you keep placing yourself around those triggers, man, you more than likely to revert back to those bad habits or to those bad thoughts. So I don't to fight depression, anxiety, anger. Like I don't promote willpower, being disciplined, like just being strong. Like, all right, go around all your triggers and just be strong and don't let it bother you. Like, nah, that's not cool. Like that's not cool. That's not cool at all. Yeah, most definitely. That playing that bad environment is no good. So I say find out what your triggers are, minimize your exposure to those triggers. It's just certain environments that I do not place myself in because I know how I can get when I'm in those environments. It's certain people that I choose not to be around on a consistent basis because I know how I can get around those people. So I choose not to place myself in those type of environments. Like I got to be wise and I got to be right and exact with my placement in regards to kind of just where I place myself. Like that makes sense to me. Instead of me saying, oh, I'm stronger than this environment, so I'm gonna just go around my triggers and I'm gonna just be strong and demonstrate all this willpower and this discipline. No, I don't want to do that. That's draining. Like that drains you. I need to use that willpower for other more productive things in my life, opposed to like fighting off all these triggers. Like, no. When you demonstrating all that willpower, like that's energy that's being utilized. And that's why you can become drained when you place yourself in certain environments, if you get what I'm saying. So that's why when I go around certain environments, like I get drained because I got to use that willpower. And that's a lot of energy that's being utilized. So when I go into certain environments and I utilize all that energy, like it makes me less effective throughout the day because I've had to utilize all that energy to just survive in that environment that's not conducive to my mental health. Oh yeah, most definitely, Frank, man. Yeah, relationships are crucial. That's the last thing you want to be in is a draining relationship. Like you do not want to continue to entertain a draining relationship. Like you got to hit them with the ultimatum. Like we either gonna grow together or it's just not gonna work. Yes, sir, Montel. I agree with that. And Sasha, definitely mind over matter is most definitely. But I tell you, I go a step further. Mind is matter. So it's all one. Yeah, they definitely this. Yeah, yeah. Mental health is going downhill for a lot of different reasons, but they've definitely made negative things seem positive. I can definitely see that. And I'm reading this book on mental illness, and it brought up something to my attention. I posed this question on Facebook. I asked a simple question, and I was like, the question revolved around, do you feel like people that are suffering from depression should avoid social media or minimize the time that they spend on social media? I got a lot of different answers to that particular question, but most people said yes, they need to stay away from social media or minimize the time spent on social media if they are dealing with depression. And the book talked about kind of the reasoning why they suggest people minimize their like the time away from social media if they're dealing with depression, simply because when we are on social media, we tend to compare our lives to the other people that are on social media. So we may be coming across people who appear on the surface to have everything going well for them. So when we see that and we are in that state of depression, like, it doesn't make the depression any better. It makes it worse when we continue to compare our lives to other people. And they say that is typically what we do when we browse on social media. So I thought that was kind of interesting. And they was talking about, like, not even studies, just some of the patients that they've dealt with, like the younger patients. And they was like, when they minimized their social media exposure and time, like, they saw improvements instantly just by being off of social media. So I thought that was very interesting in regards to improving mental health. So I think that's crucial, because the few times where I have took a hiatus from, like, Facebook, I've been more productive. I've been more at peace. I get a lot of things done. So it's like I can kind of see that. But on the flip side, you have other people that was like, it kind of depends on who you are, like, following or friends with, who you are allowing to show up on your news feed, because you can fill your news feed with a bunch of positive people. And if you're on Facebook and you got the right friends and you follow the right pages, that can boost your mental health or help prevent you from falling off the deep end. So it really depends at the end of the day. It's how you utilize social media. But for the most part, people were in agreement with, they need to minimize their time spent on social media if you are dealing with depression. Hey, Montel, got to keep it up, man. Not too many 18-year-olds got their head on straight, man. And that's not a knock on them. It's just a lot of things that's not going in y'all favor, man. So just keep your head up out here, man. Just keep influencing the individuals in your age bracket, because they need it, man. They need positive influences from their own. Man, Sasha, I still haven't got a chance to look at that video, man. Eventually I will get to it. I promise you that. But yeah, it's depression is interesting, and I keep harping on depression because that's deep within our communities out here, man. A lot of people are suffering from depression, and a lot of people are suffering from it in silence. Like, you don't even know that they are dealing with depression. Just because a person hasn't openly expressed the fact that they are dealing with depression doesn't mean that it's not there. So it's a lot of people that we look at on a surface level, on a physical level, and we think that they got it all figured out. Those are the main ones that are suffering from depression. And they may be suffering from depression the hardest because they are constantly depressing it or suppressing it and putting on this facade, man, that everything is good. Like, that's the last thing you want to do when you are suffering from depression or any other mental health condition, is put on that facade and say, man, I'm good. Well, you know good and well that you are not good. Yeah, I could just tell off the strength of, like, what you are saying this about, that I'm going to agree with it. But I'm gonna go one deep. A lot of people don't know that they are depressed, but a lot of people know that something is wrong, because we are dealing with stress, like, especially in the times we are living in now. Like, everybody is dealing with some form of stress in one way, shape, or form. So stress is at an all-time high, especially now. What happens is we keep suppressing the stress. We don't know how to channel that stress in the proper directions. So we just keep letting that stress build up. And we just keep suppressing it. We keep neglecting ourselves, like, in us dealing with that stress. So we just suppressing it. Yeah, childhood trauma. They say one of the major causes of, like, chronic illnesses is unresolved conflicts. So, like, the stuff that happened to you in the past that you haven't come to grips with, like, that can actually lead to cancers and heart disease and all those type of ailments like high blood pressure and all those type of things, just not dealing with those traumas from the past. So childhood traumas are big, man, especially if they unresolved. Like that can actually lead to the formation of cancer. And a lot of people don't know that. Yeah, people definitely chasing the artificial life. Yeah, Montel. As far as black people in depression, I definitely can see that with the stereotype of black people. I can see that correlation. I can see it. But I think on our level, like I mean, depression is just it's layers to it. It's a bunch of different reasons why we are just like depressed, angry, just the anxiety. Like that's, I mean, anxiety is big. Like I even have to deal with anxiety, man. Like I just can't even, when I get around crowds of people, like my anxiety goes through the roof. So I'm learning how to cope with just being around a lot of people. Like I'm not comfortable around a lot of people at all. So like that's something that I've had to cope with, man. And then I've just always had like a short temper. So I've always had like just anger issues. So I'm getting to the bottom of a lot of my issues. So that's why I say when I'm speaking to y'all, I'm speaking to myself. And I know a lot of frustration, a lot of the anger issues, and just me dealing with isolation. A lot of that goes when you go back to your childhood, you deal with things like rejection and stuff like that, not being, you know what I'm saying, like sought after and things of that nature. So yeah, when you deal with rejection as a child, like that can affect you. And I'm not even talking about rejection from like parents. I'm talking about like other kids and stuff like that. Like that rejection can go a long way. So it's a lot of things. That's why yeah, the depression is natural when you allow it to run its course, but most people don't allow it to run its course, and that's the problem. They suppress it. So yeah, depression is something that's natural and normal when you allow it to do like run its course, let it come and go because it's not really permanent. But when you suppress it, that's when it becomes a problem. And that's what we tend to do. Yeah, being around the wrong people, like I said, yeah, when I'm around the wrong people, and I feel like when I get around groups of people, then I'm around a lot of the wrong people because I'm not too fond of like the masses per se. So when I'm around them, I just don't feel right, you know. I don't feel right at all when I'm around like the masses, large groups of people. Like I just don't feel right. So like even when I go to like the grocery store and it's pretty packed, like I got to get in and out of there. Like I got to make my moves quickly. Like and sometimes it leads to me forgetting some things that I went in there for because I'm moving so fast because I got to get out of there. So that's one of my biggest issues, man. Just even sitting in traffic. Like I don't know if you all that felt this way, but when I'm sitting in traffic or when I'm driving in traffic, man, that triggers my anxiety, man. I just can't be in traffic. Like I just feel like somebody is about to do something crazy in traffic, like because there's so many clowns and idiots out here driving. Like I just don't trust anybody. So when it's a lot of us on the highway, then I'm feeling some type of way. Yeah, man, a lot of kids, yeah, a lot of kids aren't listened to simply because they are kids. Like people think, oh, these kids don't know nothing, so therefore they don't listen to them. They write them off simply because they are kids. Like that's crazy, writing off the opinion of the child because they are a child. Like that happened to me a lot when I was little. People wasn't listening to me because he just a little kid. He don't know what he's talking about. Nah, bro, introvert. Yeah, man. I ideally I would like to go in the morning. I either try to go in the morning or later at night because it's pretty empty when you go later at night to the grocery store, man. That's just the best time for me to go. Yeah, man. Glad that you mentioned the clubs, man. I did. I got my partying out the way when I was in high school, and man, like I was the one in the club that forget all that dancing. I used to post up on a wall and I'm just observing my surroundings because if anything pop off, I need to see exactly where it came from, who did it, so I can plan my strategy, like my move, like how I'm gonna get out of here. And if I got to combat the person that's going crazy, like how I'm gonna do it. So I used to be in the club, and that's how I used to be. I'm observing. They like, why are you not dancing? I'm like, I'm peeping my surroundings. I don't trust nobody in here. So yeah, I was that guy in the club. I was the weird guy in the club that was just on the wall, like so, just looking. Because if something pop off, I'm ready for it. Yeah, definitely. Age is a it's a number. A lot of people think older you get, like the wiser you are supposed to be. Obviously, that is not always the case at all. Yeah, I'm an introvert, man. People don't understand what it means to be introverted, obviously, because they'd be like, "Oh, you are a personal trainer. How can you be an introvert?" It's like that just sounds stupid. Like when people bring up like what you do and say you can't be an introvert simply because of what you do. But yeah, I definitely identify with being an introvert for so many different reasons, but it's something that I'm working on though. So it's not something that I've just accepted and I'm just like I'm an introvert and I'm gonna be an introvert forever. Like it's something I'm working on. Me doing this YouTube is me working on me being an introvert and socially awkward and things like that. It's helping me get things off my chest, express myself, just be more open and transparent. So that's kind of what this platform is even for. It's helping me work on that part of myself. Oh yeah, I'm off, man. I peep my surroundings consistently. Oh yeah, I don't have a problem with extroverts at all. Like it's that balance, that yin and that yang duality. So me being an introvert, naturally, I would kind of need an extrovert in my life because two introverted people, like that's not gonna work. So naturally to balance me out, I need to be around that extrovert that'll probably say and do some things that I'm not necessarily gonna do and say simply because I don't feel like talking. Oh yeah, being an introvert, like listening is just by default simply because I don't feel like talking sometimes. So like I don't have anything to do other than listen sometimes, like listen and observe. So very observant. Like that's why I'm always peeping my surroundings instead of me socializing. I'm peeping them surroundings. So if I'm in the club or if I'm somewhere where a lot of people are at, and you are with me, more than likely, like I'll be able to sense something that's about to pop off before it pops off because I'm the person that'll be able to spot the active shooter before he starts to shoot because I'm like, man, who is this dude? So when you are if you are with me and we are in a place where a lot of people are at and I sense danger, you might want to listen to what I'm telling you. Yeah, the ambivert, yeah, I can see that. I feel like we all a percentage of each, but like I'm like 80% introvert, 20% extrovert. The 20% is when I'm like in an environment that I fool with. Hence, like when I'm training people, like I'm good. I can talk because it's a field that I'm interested in. It's my passion. It's what I do. I can talk. When I'm doing stuff like this, when I'm talking about topics like this, I can talk. So it may appear as if I'm extroverted when it comes to certain topics, but every day when I'm 9 to 5, and man, it is so draining for me to just talk to people about their problems. Oh yeah, most definitely. Like I said, I'm not saying that I'll be able to detect all active shooters, but for the most part, somebody walk up in a joint and they look suspicious. I seen them before anybody else saw them. Yeah, too observant to be a moron. I can I can relate to that. Yes, sir. Definitely being comfortable. Definitely got to be comfortable. But like I said, ain't nobody sneaking up on me like that. If you sneak up on me, you did a very good job. Like you very good at what you do if you sneak up on me. Like I'm a spot it. And then I keep my eyes on it too. I'm not about to let that person get out of my sight. If I feel like you suspect, I'm eyeing you for the most part. Most definitely. I mean, they do it to us all the time. They keep their eyes on us. They clutch their purses and all that when we come around. So I do the same thing. If I feel like if you fit the image of these active shooters that's out here, because it is an image, they do look a certain type of way. Like I'm gonna keep my eye on you. I mean, point blank, period. Like I got to do that. Like I got to do that. Just like when I'm amongst us and I see some people, some dudes acting like some fools, like I got my eye on them. Like I don't know what these dudes about to be on, but I'm watching them. So I do that with all types of people, man. If you fit a bill and I don't trust the way that you move and your mannerisms ain't making sense to me, I'm eyeing you, man. Like I said, like it's paranoia in a sense, which is something that a lot of people suffer from, that a lot of people don't talk about, just being paranoid, like just kind of always thinking something bad is going to happen, like the worst, always thinking the worst. Like that's what a paranoid person will do, just always think the worst. Like they going around a bunch of people and they like something gonna pop off. Peace, what's going on, fam? Oh, most definitely, all is well, man. I had to take some time off from going live and things like that, just get my mind right. And then I had some things to, some business things to work on, but I'm back on it. Definitely got to be like that, man. I don't play around, man. I don't play around. When I go to places that are heavily populated, trust me, I'm eyeing the people who are suspect, because you're gonna have some of them everywhere that you go. So I remember one time I was at the gym, like in my place of work. Like I was at the gym working out, and I saw this dude. I mean, fit the entire bill of an active shooter. Dude had like a long coat on, man, just for no reason, and wouldn't take it off. Like not a little coat where you work out in to sweat, not one of those. He had like a little trench coat on. And I'm like, man, what is dude on? So I watched dude my whole entire workout, 100%. I mean, every rep I did, my eye stayed on dude. I was like, if he pull a move, I'm on it. Like I kept my eyes on him the entire time. I'd never forget that. It was like right before this COVID stuff happened, when the gyms and stuff were open. I kept my eyes on dude the entire time. Everybody else just going about their day like it was cool. I peeped everybody else too. That's another thing I do. I'm gonna peep everybody else's response and reaction to this dude that I'm eyeing. Everybody else was just like carrying on like this dude was not in this gym with this big old jacket on. When it like just a big jacket, just didn't take it off. And then the way that he was moved, like he wasn't even really exercising. Like dude to just go to like a piece of equipment, look at it, then move on to the next one. So I was like, man, what is this dude doing? So I kept my eye on him the entire time, and I kid you not. I kid you not. I looked at that dude the entire time and still completed my workout. I wasn't about to let that go down. Yeah, I'm always alert. So I mean, I'm always alert. My head is always on the swivel. Yeah, yeah, inconsistent with their opinions. That's a big trigger. Messing with the loved ones, powerful trigger. Messing with the money, large trigger. And then saying you're wrong, you clearly not. I can definitely see that. Definitely can't get caught slipping. I try my hardest not to get caught slipping. You know, Montel, sometimes I do end up talking to those people, and that's what's crazy about it. Like, I've had conversations with some of these individuals that look suspect, because it's like I get to the point, like, what's up, man? Like, what you doing? You know? So I've had some conversations with those suspect individuals. Like, sometimes I need to get that feel for like what's really going through your mind. Like, why are you walking around here like that? Like, I don't understand that. Yeah, you most definitely got to do it. Like I said, I ain't playing around, especially if I'm with like the fam or loved ones and stuff like that. That environment, oh yeah, yeah, that environment is getting monitored heavily. Yeah, you definitely got to approach that situation, man. If you're uncomfortable, like, hey, like, what you doing? Like, what's good, man? Like, why are you walking around here with this trench coat on, man? Like, and you're not even really exercising. What's your objective here, man? What's going on with you? So a lot of times I look at them, and then I might not even have a conversation with them. I just let them know that I see them. So I acknowledge them, like, what's up? Like, sometimes that's all it takes. Like, I look at that person, they see me looking at them, and I hit them with the what's up. Like, I see you. Like, I see that you in here looking strange, so I see you. Hey, I'll be on, like, the difference between me and Karen. I ain't gonna call the police, because you know that may turn out to backfire on me. I call the police and then I end up on the ground or shot or something like that. So I got to take matters into my own hand. Definitely got to get territorial over the loved ones. Got to do that. I already know, bro. Once I have a kid, like, I know that that's a wrap. Like, it had to be a wrap, because I've been this way for a long time. So I can only see that amplifying the situation. Yeah, dude definitely had the Matrix. Like, I wish I had a picture of this dude, man. Y'all, if I showed y'all a picture of this dude, y'all would have, like, probably me just observing the dude, keeping my eye on him, preventing him from doing something crazy, because he saw me looking at him several times. That dude was to not be trusted at all, man. It's like, you serve no, and the crazy thing is, I never saw him in the gym like after that. I never saw him before that nor after that. Like, dude was just, and mind you, I populate the gym. I'm in the gym all the time at the same time. So I never seen this dude. So when I see you, I'm like, who are you? Like, I can tell, like, new gym members that's here to try to turn their life around or whatever. He wasn't that. Dude was just suspect. So that's another thing, man. Like, when I do something consistently, and somebody does something, or like if you frequent something that you used to the same type of people being there, and you see somebody that doesn't fit that model, gotta look at it. Gotta look at them and assess that situation for what it is. It's almost like 9 to 5, like working at the bank. I'm used to the same customers on a daily and weekly basis. When this new customer comes in, he trying to pull a slick move on me, you know what I mean? Like, you got to keep your eye on that person. Like, I ain't never seen you in here trying to cash this check, and then when I'm asking you the questions that we got to ask you, and you giving me all that, you giving me a hard time with it. Like, now I'm questioning you. Yeah, most definitely, man. I know a few of them. Like, know a lot of suspect people, man. That's why I keep my eyes on them, because again, like, I know how the mind can operate. You know what I mean? And that just goes back to knowing and understanding mental health. So, like, when you see a person in that trench coat walking around the gym, like, you already know something is off, like, mentally. So you got to really watch that person, man, because it could be something small that happened in that gym that would have set dude off. So you got to know and understand that you're dealing with somebody who could potentially have that imbalance psychologically. So that's another reason why I just assess it. It's like, man, some cannot be, like, something is off with dude to the point he walking around here in his trench coat. So you got to know and understand that. And when you know and understand that you're dealing with somebody that has that imbalance psychologically, then it's like, all right, I got to deal with it. I got to deal with it on that level. So that's what I try to do, because I know, because I deal with stuff like anger. So it don't take much for a trigger like to come to the scene, man, and then for me to respond accordingly. So it doesn't take much for me to become frustrated, because anger is something that I've always dealt with. So I know and understand that if I see somebody with that imbalance, that it may not take much for that person to like dive off the deep end and go crazy in here. Yeah, mental health is definitely underrated. And yes, food can mess up your mental health. Like processed foods, of course. Like you want to stay away from processed foods when dealing with mental health. And then I'm gonna even go a step further and get a little bit deeper. And I'm gonna probably talk about this in later videos, but like iron, having too much iron, having too low iron. Like not enough iron and too much iron can cause mental health issues. So that's something that a lot of people don't know about. Like low iron levels and high iron levels can create an imbalance, like psychologically, and can impact your brain health. But food definitely plays a part in your brain health, your mental health. Like most definitely. Like you definitely want to stay away from those processed foods, red meats. Man, even grilling foods, man, can release like certain chemicals that can affect your mental health. Like frying foods and things of that nature releases certain chemicals, man, that mess up and alter your mental health for the worse, not for the better. Like drinking sodas, even diet sodas, impacts your mental health from a negative standpoint. So you most definitely, like alcohol. It ain't a myth that alcohol kills your brain cells. Like again, I could pull up this book, this the end of mental illness, and I can show pictures of like people's brains like that ate a lot of processed foods, dealt heavy with alcohol, and like the brain was definitely damaged. And when you damage the brain, you damage the mind. So you definitely want to stay away from a lot of those things that are detrimental to your brain health. Montel, sugar, again, artificial sugars like refined carbs, all the process, like the white bread, the pastas, the candies, the cookies, the chips, all of that, like the sodas, you want to stay away from all of that. The natural sugars that you find in fruits, like organic fruits, those are cool. Those will not contribute to like any mental health issue, nor will it contribute to like obesity and things of that nature. It's it's the refined carbs that you want to stay away from. That artificial sugar or like the added sugar. Like that's the stuff that you want to stay away from. Yeah, that low iron most definitely can be like, yeah, low iron definitely can lead to depression. Yeah, definitely want to get your iron. You want to have that middle ground for your iron levels. You don't want it too low, don't want it too high. But yeah, food plays a major role in regards to like your mental health. And like I said, to even prevent or reverse mental health issues, you want to focus on what you eat. Like I said, blueberries are one of the best things that you can consume in regards to like protecting the brain. So you need to eat a cup of blueberries a day. Like blueberries are powerful for the brain, man. You want to do things like broccoli, spinach, kale, oranges, strawberries, raspberries, blackberries. All of those are just great for you. Like mushrooms and things of that nature. So you definitely want to consume those fruits and veggies, man. Get them in and protect that brain. And you may be wondering why I'm saying brain health a lot in correlation to mental health, because at the end of the day, when I studied that book, that was a point that was brought up that I didn't necessarily think of. And he was talking about how psychiatrists and things of that nature are like, that's the only profession where they don't require like an image of the organ that they are kind of diagnosing and dealing with. So it's like when people talk about mental health, like how many times do people get like a scan of their brain when they talk about suffering from depression, anxiety, anger, schizophrenia, bipolar? Like how many times do people that express those type of ailments, how many times is it required that they get an image of their brain? Like I've separated my shoulder. The first thing you do, you get the x-ray on the shoulder so they can see the separation. When you are dealing with a heart issue, they give you an image of that heart. When you're dealing with a lower back issue, they get you an image, an x-ray of the lower back. But when you say you suffering from depression, how many times do they say, all right, let's get an image of your brain and let's work from there? So that was a very interesting point. And he was like, for the most part, the things that we consider as mental health issues really stem from brain damage. But the brain is not typically studied. We don't even get that image of the brain when we bring up these mental health conditions. So that's the point that he was making. And I felt like that was a strong point. And I never really thought about that. But most of the times when you hear somebody saying they suffering from depression and anxiety, you don't really hear it being recommended that they go get an image of their brain, like a scan of their brain. So to me, that was some powerful information. So it changed the way that I viewed mental health. Instead of viewing it as mental health, it's like brain health. Like how healthy is your brain? So 9 times out of 10, they tell you if you suffering from any of those mental health conditions, like your brain is damaged. And I can definitely see the reality in that. So it's more so a brain health issue, not a mental health issue. Like it stems from the damage of the brain. So the brain being damaged causes, like depression is just a symptom of your brain being damaged. Anxiety is just a symptom of your brain being damaged. Like anger is just a symptom of your brain being damaged. So these are just symptoms of a damaged brain. So we need to focus more on improving the quality of our brains, improving the health of our brain. So that's kind of crucial to me. That was a crucial point. So it just changed the way that I viewed mental health. And yes, sir, Louisiana, I got the book like right here. End of Mental Illness right here. Look this book up on Amazon, grab that joint. It'll change your whole perspective on like mental illness and things of that nature. It's going to change your whole perspective, man, and for the better. And it's also going to give you things to do to improve the overall quality of your brain. So that's kind of why I like this joint as well. Like it gives you things to do. It gives you the foods to eat. It tells you about intermittent fasting, how fasting can improve the quality of your brain. So it gives you a bunch of different things to do depending on what you may be suffering from. So if you know somebody that's suffering from like any type of brain related condition, Alzheimer's, dementia, depression, schizophrenia, bipolar, ADD, ADHD, if you know anybody that's suffering from any of those ailments, get that book. Get that book for them as well as for yourself, because we want to take preventative measures as well. So that book is good for preventative measures as well. And that's another thing that we need to start focusing more on too, preventing. Like a lot of times people think, well, I don't have any symptoms, I'm good. We don't want to think like that. You want to always think in regards to, I don't want any of those symptoms. I don't want this to happen to me. So we should always be striving to incorporate things in our life, in our lives, that take those preventative measures. So if you know blueberries are powerful for like improving the quality of your brain, then consume those on a daily basis. Don't look at it like, well, I don't suffer from like dementia. My memory fine right now, so I don't need blueberries. Nah. Once you learn that blueberries are beneficial to the brain, start consuming them. No matter if you, display any symptoms or not. Like, it don't matter. It doesn't matter at all. So we got to take those preventative measures. We got to stop reacting when we get that life altering, illness, that near death experience. Then we want to be like, oh, it's time for me to change. Like, no, be proactive, not reactive. It's better to take preventative measures than to try to reverse it. So it's better to prevent cancer. It's easier to prevent cancer than it is to reverse it. So you do not want to wait till you get to that stage where you got to try to reverse it. Instead, you want to take the preventative measures. The name of the book, here go the book again. End of Mental Illness. Right there, cop that on Amazon. Add blueberries, yes. Add blueberries to your shake. Blueberries every day. Oh, self-hate is big. And I made a video on that recently. Like, knowledge of self and self-love is the foundation. That's the foundation. That's the foundation, man. When you fail to love yourself, like, that's very detrimental to not only you, but those around you. So self-love is that is the foundation to like mental health. You have got to love yourself. You got to know yourself. You got to embrace that self. You got to know and understand that the only thing that's perfect about you is that you are imperfect. So you got to know and understand that. Like we got to know and we got to understand that. We got to come to grips with that. We got to accept that. Like, it's nothing wrong with having flaws. There's nothing wrong with having those negative traits. It's nothing even wrong with being depressed and being angry. Like, accept that. It's how you channel that stuff, though, man, because none of those feelings are permanent. So you feeling depressed, you feeling angry, you feeling frustrated, it's not going to last long. Like, at all. It all fluctuates. It comes and it goes just like that. So just accept that, man. Yeah, definitely pick up those blueberries. So like, that's another way of just dealing with like depression and all that, man. Just accept it. Like, depression, just accept that being a part of your life. Like, at some days you just gonna be down, man. That don't mean you're gonna stay down though. So you gotta also understand that reality. Highs and lows, man. Ups and downs, man. Life filled with those. It's not gonna last, man. It's okay. It's okay to be down. It's okay to be depressed. Like, so I'd have been in my most creative states when I would be depressed or when I'd be angry. Like, I'd be my most creative self when I'm in those states. And that's another good way to kind of deal with depression. It's like journaling. So when you get depressed and things of that nature, man, journal, write stuff down. Like, get it off your chest, let it out. Like, journaling is powerful in regards to just channeling that energy in a proper direction. Yeah, the omega fatty acids, hemp seeds, hemp milk, chia seeds, flax seeds, all that. If you're looking for those omega-3 fatty acids, chia seeds, flax seeds, hemp seeds, that's all you need. Yeah, apples and grapes for breakfast, man. That's how you do it. It's how you roll. Like I said, fruits for breakfast. Yeah, acceptance is definitely key, man. You just gotta accept stuff for what it is, not for what you want it to be. Accept it for what it is, and that's what happened a lot of times too. We fantasize, man. We be trying to accept things for what we want them to be, and that's when I started dabbling with Buddhism a lot, man. Like, attachment. Like, we got to stop attaching ourselves to certain things, man, because then that comes with an expectation. So when you attach yourself to a certain thing, then you had this expectation for it. So therefore, if it doesn't happen or if it doesn't pan out according to your vision, then now you feel some type of way. And that leads to suffering, that leads to depression, opposed to being detached. Like, you won't have to go through that. Like, that's just like going into friendships and things like that. Like, you have a certain expectation for people who you consider friends. So when they do you a certain type of way, or when they act in a way that's not conducive to like your vision for them, you feel hurt, you feel let down, and things of that nature. Me, I don't have many expectations for people. Like, I don't have many expectations for people. As sad as that may sound, like, I don't have many expectations for people. I'm not attached to kind of like how I feel people should be, because I cannot control the actions of other people. I can only control my response to how they act. So I don't attach myself. I don't think I don't live this life where I think, oh, everybody should be a decent individual that's around me. Like, nah, I know and understand that like people are unpredictable and I can't control how they respond and how they react to me. So like, I don't have many expectations to the actions of other people. So that saves me a lot. So when people do things that may appear to be negative, like, I'm able to just kind of move on quickly because I wasn't expecting much from them in the first place. Oh yeah, definitely. Like, yeah, manifestation. That's gonna be another conversation that I'm gonna have, because I fool with it, but I fool with it in a very different light than people may think. Oh yeah, yeah, most definitely. Like, they always get mad when you be yourself. Yeah, the Buddhists, man, and that's another thing. If you looking to just kind of elevate your mind and reach a peaceful state, like, Buddhism is definitely something I recommend studying. Cut your own apples, bro. And yeah, like, lowering your expectations is definitely a way to avoid being disappointed, because I'm telling you, it's if like when you go into a function, let's just say, you go into like a party, and this party is going to be populated by certain individuals, and you know these certain individuals. So now you have this expectation. Okay, it's going to be like such and such is going to be at this party. This is how this party in my mind is going to turn out, because they are going to be there. So now you have attached yourself to this expectation of this party. Like, I'm gonna have a good time because such and such will be at this party. So I'm gonna have a fabulous time at this party. You have attached yourself to that expectation. Then when you get to this party, and the people who you expected to be there, they are there, but let's say they having bad days. So they not as outgoing as they normally are. So, and that kills your vibe and your mood, because you had this expectation and this attachment to that expectation. So then when they don't act accordingly, now you feel let down, you feel disappointed. And that all stems from you being attached to that expectation. Oh yeah, most definitely. Yeah, Buddhism, Hinduism, they got some jewels in them. Yeah, and that's what I was gonna say about manifestation. I'm a process person. So whatever you want to manifest in life involves a process. I believe in focusing on and embracing the process. So if I want to make them, if my goal is to manifest $1 million, it's a formula. It's a formula that I can utilize to manifest that million. I'm gonna focus on that formula. I know a lot of people talk about visualization and things of that nature, which is all cool, which can be part of the formula. But I'm gonna focus on the formula. So if I want to make that million and my field is fitness, then I'm gonna study the people that have made that million in fitness, and then I'm gonna add my own twist to it, and I'm gonna just embrace that process. Like, everything has a process. I focus on the process. Everything has a formula. I focused on the formula. Anything that you want out of life involves a formula, man. I mean, everything. If you embrace that formula, you cannot lose. I mean, you literally cannot lose. Like if you want to be a millionaire and you studying millionaire after millionaire after millionaire and they got the same pattern and they do the same things, if you do those things, how could you fail? I study patterns. Like, I'm a mathematical individual. I deal with the mathematics, so I'm studying patterns. So if I want to do something, I'm gonna see the pattern. I'm gonna see the pattern for the best way to do it. So if I'm studying 20 people and 18 out of this 20 are doing this, then chances are very highly, or more high if I embrace what these 18 people are doing. Like, if they are all doing the same thing, like the probability of me achieving this millionaire status by studying these 18 people and embracing like the method that they have like underwent to achieve that millionaire status, like the probability would be a lot higher. So I study the formula, I embrace the formula. That's what I do. That's how I manifest things. Yeah, most definitely math. Like, like I said, I always go back to the field I'm in, the fitness space. Like, the dudes that's in the fitness space, they not better than me at knowing fitness. It's just like they probably got more years in the game on it, or they probably did this. They probably did something that I failed to do. Like, it's a bunch of different reasons why they may be where they at opposed to where I'm at. So I just got to see what they did collectively. I got to see a pattern. I just got to implement the pattern and add my own twist to it. So it's easy. It's math, man. It's mathematics. Most definitely. Like, that's why I say I observe. I observe the mistakes, but then on top of learning from mistakes, I learn from the successes of other people as well. So I learn from what works for other people as well as mistakes. So if I see a bunch of people doing something and it's working, I'm also going to learn from that, because obviously it works. If 20 out of the 20 people are doing this and they succeeding, then I think I need to implement that. So I pay attention to what works as well as what doesn't work. And I learn from like all of that just collectively. So like that's important, man. That's important. Like, life lessons like that are important, because there's people out here with formulas, man. We just got to study them. Like, we legit just got to study them. It's just that simple, man. I mean, wherever you want to be in life, it's somebody that's already there. It's people that's already there, and all you got to do is study what they did. Like, we got to kill all the complaining and all that type of nonsense, man. Like, it's easy to get where you want to go. It's easy, man, because it's people that already laid the groundwork down for you. The hard work is already done because it's people that already did it. All you got to do is just study it and do it. You know what I mean? Like, it's just that simple. It's that simple. So you can always find somebody to like emulate. And I don't mean copy them verbatim, but it's just like, all right, they took these steps. I'm gonna emulate these steps while I add my own twist. And I'm striving to get to where they at, and then I'm gonna transcend beyond where they are at. But I'm gonna use them steps to get there though. You would be a fool not to just study the steps and implement the steps of people who preceded you. Like, that's what they doing it for, man, for you to study the steps. Like, here is the way, man. Like, all you got to do is this, that, and the third, and you will end up here. Like, man, try it out. Like, what's the worst that you can do? Like, what's the worst that can happen if it's somewhere that you want to get, and it's some people that already achieved it, and you study these people and you implement their steps? Like, what's the worst that can happen? Like, I don't need, like, what's the worst that can happen? You can enjoy the process. Like, what's the worst that can happen when you do that? So, like, yeah, it's plenty of ways to go out here and get it, man. There's plenty of people that we can learn from, that we can emulate. And I definitely recommend it, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's just what it is. Like you said, the blueprint, man. We just got to follow the blueprints that's already been laid out for us out here. Yeah, you gotta study them, man. Gotta study them. Do your homework. Do the knowledge, as we say. Definitely gonna come into fruition. Oh yeah, mine tell lunch. Like I said, lunch should be pretty much your biggest meal of the day. So like the heaviest meal that you can think of, I recommend having that for lunch. So me being on like the vegan end, like I throw in, because I eat a lot of beans, so just like sweet potatoes, beans, some veggies. If you want to have like a veggie burger, veggie burrito, things like that, just your heavy, like whole wheat, like pasta and things like that. Like that's the best time to consume like your heaviest meal. So anything heavy that you could think of, like consume it for lunch. But like heavy for me is probably light to other people. So I, like I said, I eat some beans, like some kidney beans or some black beans or some chickpeas, or like some sweet potatoes with like some asparagus, some broccoli, some peas, or some corn. The reason why lunch should be the biggest meal of the day is because that is when your digestive system is at its peak. So it's able to process and handle heavier foods during that particular time. And they say the time frame for that meal is like 12 to 2:30. Like that's when your digestive system is just at its peak. So it's able to process and digest and properly absorb like heavier meals. So that's why it's important to eat the heaviest meal for like lunch, because your digestive system is able to handle it. It's not able to handle a heavy meal at night because your body is winding down, so it needs something lighter. It's not able to handle a heavier meal for breakfast because you are breaking the fast. So you need to have a light meal to break the fast. So lunch is the perfect time because your digestive system is finally awakened and it's at its peak. Hey, definitely go full vegan. Definitely. Let me tell y'all something, like going vegan is not as bad as people think, nor is it as hard as people think, nor is it really as expensive as people think. Like it's you gonna spend money being eating healthy, of course, but it's like when you look at it from a long-term perspective, it's like, yeah, that's gonna be cheaper than me having to go to the hospital every other day because I don't feel good. Yeah, we eat more for dinner. It's just programming, man. When we eating that dinner, we in that relaxed state. We at the crib, we winding down. We may be about to watch our favorite television show, all that type of stuff. So we feel like we need to eat a larger meal, but definitely no. Like that's definitely incorrect. Like your body is winding down just like you should be winding down. So therefore, like the digestive system slowing down. So that's why I recommend people to eat like a salad or something for dinner, like or just eat some veggies and whatnot, some steamed veggies. That'd be a perfect meal for dinner. So just eat your lightest meal or your lighter meal for dinner. Like I've had a few people that actually started doing that and they seeing rapid improvement. Like that one of the best things that you can do for yourself. Along with just balancing it out with like some fasting, some intermittent fasting, that'll take your health to a whole new level. That'll take your health to a whole new level. Like I done did a few like about 24-hour fasts here recently, man. I'm feeling good. Like it's got me feeling 100% good. So again, just like I said, like going vegan, man, it can help that mental health and all that. And it's not as hard, not as difficult, not as pricey as we may think. Especially when you balancing out with fasting. I mean, when you fasting, you're not eating. So you going 24 hours, no food, like you don't have to spend money on that. So I save a lot of money when I'm fasting, and fasting is a beautiful thing. Like going just 24 hours with just water is not as hard as it may seem. Because you're gonna spend about 8 or 9 of those out, like seriously, you're gonna spend about 8 or 9 of those hours sleeping. Then if you go to like work, like you're gonna like work, by the time you look up, that 24 hours gonna be up. So like if your last meal was at 7 p.m., then you can eat the next meal at 7 p.m. that next day type deal. By the time you look up, it'll be that next day at 7 o'clock. Like 24 hours is nothing. Now, when you get to like 36 hours and you start fasting for several days, that can become hard. But 24 hours is nothing. Hey, being broke can be beneficial, especially for your health, man, because you do things like fast. Yeah, I know if I eat, like sometimes I get 3 meals out the day, but if I eat 3 times, it's typically like I said, I drink a smoothie or I eat some fruits, and then I eat like beans, sweet potatoes, vegetables. Then I eat that again. So even if I eat 3 times out the day, it's some pretty decent meals. But again, like I said, you do that, you balance stuff out. Even if you're not eating the best, like when you balance it out with like intermittent fasting, like that can help clean up a lot of that. So this was hold on. Mental health affecting physical health. It all starts in the mind. Everything starts with the thought, man. Everything starts within the mind. So like your mental health can like 100%, like it controls the physical health, man. And I'm gonna give you some science that I came across in a book that I read like some years ago. It talked about basically what you just asked me, and it talked about people like eating healthy per se, but not having the right state of mind, and how that can actually kill the beneficial effects of the healthy foods that you are consuming if your state of mind is negative. So if you have a negative state of mind, yet you are consuming organic fruits and vegetables, like essentially your negative state of mind will offset, overpower, overrule the healthy foods that you are consuming simply because your state of mind is negative and toxic. So if your state of mind is not right and exact and not positive, doesn't matter what you consume. Doesn't matter what you consume. So it all starts in it all starts in the mind. It all starts with that brain. Like you want to make sure your state of mind is like right and exact. You want to make sure you got those proper thoughts because that can affect what you are consuming. Like it can definitely affect what you are consuming because what happens is when you think certain types of ways, like certain hormones and all that are released. So that can come into contact with some of the foods that you are consuming. So if you're releasing all that, cortisol and all these type of hormones and whatnot, that could be detrimental. And then you consuming foods on top of that, boom, you got collision. You got collisions. Like I can even speak from experience on that. Like it's just sometimes like when you know how, let's say you just not nervous, but it's like you approaching like a situation that may give you those butterflies in your stomach type deal, got you feeling some type of way. Man, I done been in situations like that, and I would consume the best food, but it's just like, man, the way my stomach was feeling before, like it affected what I had consumed to the point where it almost made what I consumed, which would have been like a fruit or something, it almost made that negative. That's why sometimes it's best to just refrain from eating when you are feeling a certain type of way. Like, don't even consume anything. Yeah, that water can definitely do it. But even with the water, what tends to happen sometimes, like when you just in a certain mental space, like you may just overdo it on the water, just start gulping that water down, which you're not even supposed to drink water like that. You gotta sip it. So it's like sometimes when you in that certain mind frame, like you just killing that water, you drinking the water how it's not supposed to be drank. So you just always got to be mindful. Sometimes it's best to do nothing, but like breathe. Just focus on breathing. Like, nah, don't eat nothing, don't drink nothing. Focus on breathing. Calm yourself down. Center yourself. Yeah, you gotta stay on her, bro. Like, stay on her. Like, stay on her, man. She may see the light eventually. She can't be walking around. She can't be she can't be walking around depressed and mad all the time, man. Just stay on her. But yeah, so a lot of times, man, just step back, focus on your breathing. That's it. Light breathing, man. Just focus on it. Just light breathing. And just embrace the smaller things. And I'm gonna go back again. I'm going back to all these books and stuff that I've read. I read a book probably some months ago that was basically encouraging folks to focus on like the smaller things, the smaller victories, the stuff that we tend to overlook. And one of the things that the book mentioned was like when you get a toothache. I don't know if you've all had like a toothache. When we get a toothache, we know and understand that to not have that toothache at that particular time is a fabulous feeling. Like, it's a wonderful feeling because your tooth is hurting so bad. Like, you just the thought of like it not hurting, like just like, come on, that's a great feeling. But then on the flip side, when the toothache is not there, we do not embrace not having the toothache. So that's just kind of ironic. When you had that toothache, you wishing for it to go away because you know how it feels at that time to not have a toothache. So you are wishing, you hoping for that toothache to go away because you know how it feels to not have it when you have it. But then when the toothache is gone, you don't sit around and say, man, I'm glad I don't have a toothache today. Like, we don't do that. We do not do that. Like, how many times you wake up and say, man, I'm thankful that I don't have a toothache today. But when that toothache hits you, you're like, man, I need for this toothache to go away. Because you know how good or how better you feel when a toothache is not present, but you don't embrace it when the toothache is really not present. You take that for granted. Yeah, that being overworked is definitely big cause of stress. Big cause of stress. And yeah, meditation and working out, working out is one of my go-tos. Like, exercising is definitely one of my go-tos. Just like, and stretching and like foam rolling. I recommend everybody get a foam roller. Like, that stuff it relieves stress, man. It relieves that tension, releases that tension. And even look at, which I'm gonna have videos on all this, so it may sound weird at first, but look into getting you a softball and a lacrosse ball. Here goes my softball. I'm gonna demonstrate some softball rolling techniques that kind of help with like releasing tension in like the lower back and stuff like that. So invest in getting you a softball and a lacrosse ball, and I'll show you what to do with it over time. But like, these things help release tension, and that tension that can just help you feel more at peace. It's almost like that yoga effect. So looking to get a lacrosse ball and a little softball or whatever, and a foam roller. And I'm gonna have some videos just kind of demonstrating some movements to do with each one of those pieces of equipment there. Yeah, most definitely. So I'm getting ready. I've been on here about an hour 15. So I'm gonna hit y'all with a question. It's one thing that I'm gonna do just to come up with more topics, man. What's one thing that y'all want to see me talk about probably like next week or so? Like, just throw some ideas out at me. What's something that y'all want to see me touch on maybe next week or so? Just jot down some ideas, man. I got my own list, but it's like if y'all got some things that y'all want me to touch on that I may not have touched on, just let me know, and I'll take a note of it and make sure I touch on it to the best of my abilities. So just throw some suggestions out there. If something is heavy on your mind, you want me to touch on it, man, this is the time to let me know. So I can add it to my list. All right, that meditation. Let me get my pen joint going here so I can write it down. Let's see. Let's see, we got meditation, which I'm gonna go a step further. I'm gonna show y'all how to like breathe correctly, because a lot of people, we breathe incorrectly. Like, we got a lot of mouth breathers, and that's not the proper way to breathe. Want to be nose breathers. A lot of people don't understand that simple science. So I'm gonna definitely touch on that. Chaos and order, that's a good one. Good and bad sides of money. You know what's crazy about that one, man? I got this thick book, The Creature on Jekyll Island, that's dealing with like the Federal Reserve and stuff like that. Like, that book touches on that. So that's interesting. All right, peace, Montel. Foods for the abs. Oh, definitely got that. Definitely got that. Best time to meditate. I could just briefly answer that real quick. The best time, in my opinion, the best times to do those things will be in the morning, as soon as you wake up, and then right before you go to sleep. And that's one thing I had to do, which is why y'all didn't see me live, man. I just reevaluated kind of my approach. Like, I'm a intricate individual in regards to like my mind. Like, I'm interested, like I study a lot of different things. So it's hard for me to just kind of focus on like one thing in regards to me talking about it. Like, I talk about, as we say, like, I study life around me. So I can talk about any and everything. And when I was in college, man, I took a philosophy class, and my philosophy professor like pulled me to the side after he read one of my papers and was like, man, you need to think about double majoring and adding philosophy as a major. So my original approach with this podcast was like, man, I just need to talk solely about like health and fitness. But then I was like, man, that ain't true. That ain't true to me. I'm more philosophical in nature. So I touch on a wide variety of subjects. So I'm not just going to limit myself to being that dude that's going to talk about like health and fitness and that's it. Like, yes, that's what I do. But like my mind just expands beyond health and fitness. So I can talk about any and everything. And that's just kind of like the new direction that I'm going to travel in with this podcast. It's going to be more philosophical in nature. And I'm going to still touch on my health and fitness. Don't get me wrong. Like, that's still my foundation. But like me just philosophizing and just expressing those type of opinions, talking about the stuff that people are afraid to talk about, or asking the questions that people are afraid to ask and then answering those questions. Like, I deal with stuff like that. Like, I go into the unknown. Like, I go deep into the unknown. Like, I go deep into what people are afraid of, because I'm not afraid of that, man. Like, I'm not afraid of that. My mind has no limits. Like, I touch on any and everything. So one week I may be talking about what to eat to form your abs. Then the next week I may talk about religion. And then a week after that, I may talk about something scientific. So that's the direction that I want to travel in, because that's more true to who I am. So I had to just reevaluate kind of my strategy. Like, I'm not about to be like, again, hitting y'all with just a bunch of health and fitness information and that be it. Like, nah, like I'm gonna hit y'all from all different angles to the point where it's gonna be like you're not gonna know what angle I'm finna come from in regard to what I talk about. Like I may hit on some politics, like I may hit on some science, I might hit on some veganism, might hit on some finance, I might hit on how to open a business type deal. Like I may hit on anything because that's how I am. That's how my ancestors work. Like when you do the knowledge to the ancestors, like they did some of everything. Like one a dude may be a physician, may have been a musician, may have been a history person, a writer, all of that in one. So we were not limited. Like he was an astrologer, he was a physician, he was a dentist, he was a doctor, he was all that. So that's how my ancestors operated. That's how I'm gonna operate. I'm not about to subject myself to that one particular topic, man. My mind is too hungry. Like I love knowledge too much to just focus on one thing. Like I can't do it. So like it's no telling. Like I gotta be that. So again, like don't expect for me to be talking about like the same things because it's not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen at all. Like I'm whatever it is that I'm studying, I may tend to talk about that. Like again, I'm studying mental illness this week. Next week, it may be how to break food addictions. And then the week after that, it may be something revolving around quantum physics or something. So it's no telling. Versatile. And that's another way to improve the condition of your brain. Keep learning, learn new things. Don't continue to learn the same thing over and over and over and over again. Challenge yourself. Learn something that's different from the norm. That is the way you challenge your brain. That is the way you prevent your brain from deteriorating. So challenge yourself, man. Learn some things that's outside of your comfort zone. Don't always stick to your comfort zone in regards to what you learn. Like the moment you stop learning, that is when you die. Period. So I want you all to always value learning, challenge yourself, learn some things outside of the box and outside of your comfort zone. It will only benefit you. And with that being said, I'm out, y'all. We build on the positivity. We destroy the negativity. Peace.